papers so that will give you a strong position in the university ranking. What's your take on that?
I think there are various ways of measuring excellence, and one shouldn't rely just on quantity. I think that quality measures are not really a function of scale, they're a function of depth.
Do you take the university ranking serious? Is that important to the university?
I think that the public takes rankings seriously, or at least looks at them, and so it's important to be visible and to be highly regarded, but I wouldn't put too much emphasis on detailed rankings.
Do you even look at them in the newspaper, or you just?
Yeah, I'd rather not.
Other ways of measuring impact, right?
There are lots of ways of measuring impact, and rankings become a bit of a game by organizations trying to sell magazines or something.
It's a little fascinating how the presidents, VCs of this country, what's their take on the rankings? Because basically what you said, what the VC of Oxford, Cambridge said are basically the same. But what Leicester City and Sheffield, their president and their VC said are the same. I can sense that even though they said that this is not the most important thing, they still care about that, especially in Leicester. Maybe that's the law behind that. If you ask the president of Peking University and Tsinghua University, they may don't care because they are always top 30. So they don't care. I don't know whether it's true. Okay. So Brexit. I think this is a question that you are in the perfect position to answer because university remains a magnet.
I don't know. I'm not at Checkers today, so I think some other people could answer Brexit questions.
For university, it should remain a magnet for the talents.
Absolutely.
So Brexit obviously create uncertainties in whether it could remain so.
Yes.
And you're from the United States.
Yes.
As you don't have the UK nationality, do you? So, as a foreigner, what's your take on Brexit?
So, immediately after the referendum, I started making my views clear and talking to lots of people in government that after Brexit, if Europeans were also considered international foreigners, then we needed to make sure we have good immigration policies. So if you look forward and through beyond Brexit itself, it really comes down to immigration policy. And I've been a strong supporter of course, international student visas, but also graduate entrepreneur visas, opportunities for collaborators in top research programs to have free movement or access through other mechanisms we could find, visas or other immigration policies. And I still believe that that's a very important thing that needs to happen. So London and Britain and Imperial can still remain a magnet for talent, and I think we will. And we've been able to bring in people from all over the world, including many Chinese, not because of an EU agreement, but because we had immigration policies that allowed us to bring in international students and scholars.
Has Imperial felt anything so far? Any implication?
You mentioned the uncertainty. I think the uncertainty has been the most damaging thing thus far because people are all wondering and worried about what's going to happen.
Are you doing anything to brace for the implication?
We definitely study all the possible scenarios, and we have worked very hard to make sure we're building and maintaining our ties to Europe. So among the seed funds I mentioned, I launched one that would be for anyone developing another collaboration in Europe, because we want to make sure we have the European bilateral collaborations. We have strong ties. One of the first CNRS laboratoire mixed UMI, whatever they call them, in the UK with mathematics department. So we're very pleased to be able to attract that kind of a collaboration, and we're talking to many others in other countries to make sure we can still collaborate across the borders, no matter how the borders are set up.
I'm going to ask you this question because there is this ongoing heat debate back in China, which should be difficult and which should be easy, whether the recruitment should be easy, I mean entrance into the university, and graduation from a university, which should be easy and which should be hard. Because the Imperial has this reputation in China that it's very difficult to get into, to get entrance in the Imperial, and it's even harder to get graduation from here. So it shows that you're strict in academically.
Yes.
And so, which, in your opinion, which should be hard, which should be easy?
I don't look at it as hard and easy. I view it as we focus on excellence, we expect a lot, we're very demanding, as you pointed out. It's a dynamic lab. And, but I think that maybe you could draw one of those doors. They'll probably quiet down as they're starting. Okay, that's fine. To me, it's a matter of finding the right fit. I think we just talked about the breadth of different types of universities, and I think it's more important to find the right place so that a student can thrive and they can learn what they need to learn and learn how to keep learning throughout life. So I think it's much more of a match than whether it's hard or easy.
As a woman, as a foreigner, do you think these two identities, assets or liabilities, in running a UK British university like Imperial?
You know, that's a little bit of a stark way of putting it. I feel like it's, I'm very honored and privileged to be the head of Imperial, and I bring certain strengths from my experience and my past, having worked at some fine universities like Stanford, MIT, and Lehigh University in the States. And I think that we all bring our qualities and our backgrounds to these jobs. So I don't think it's so much where we're from or what our gender is, but what we bring to the job.
As a scientist, how do you compare and contrast doing science and running a university like Imperial? Are there any similarities that you have to be accurate, you have to be innovative?
There are, and I think that if you step back occasionally and think about the challenges we face institutionally, and you think about the scientific method, it helps you to step back and frame the problem well, and not just dive in and worry about the urgent, but to step back and think about how you're going to be able to navigate a challenging and changing environment or a challenge being faced by the institution. So I do think that scientific training and background is very beneficial, and you do see lots of scientists and engineers leading universities all over the world.
How scientific do you have to be the head, to be the president of such a scientific university?
I think it's very important to be a very respected scientist, because fundamentally it's leading a bunch of fantastically talented academics, and they have to know that I understand where they're coming from, and I've been there and I've done things like they have, and so I very much think that you're looking for a leading scholar when you're looking for a leader of a great university.
We have about 2 minutes left.
Sure.
Okay.
when do you expect the first AI teacher to appear?
You know, I think we will have AI partners for teachers, and we will have teachers who will make great use of AI, and I think that'll be wonderful because it can allow the human teacher to focus on what they're really good at, and augment their understanding of the group and the learning and what's going on in ways that they may not be able to intuit themselves. But I don't see the commission taken over.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much.
Can I take some picture of you?
Sure.
How about here? Please. 1, 2.
Oh, no,
One,
sorry.
two.
Thank
you. Can I take a picture with you?
Sure.
Could you? Please. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Okay. And just one more, please. Thank you. Lovely. Thank you. You've got one more?
Yeah, I'll go now.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
It's something to brag. I mean, back in June.
Great to have you here. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Eric. Really good to have you here.
Good luck with your going to all the rest of the UK.
It's like
I
snowboarding.
was just in Edinburgh for the UKRI meeting, and I'm very impressed. You should go up to Edinburgh.
Edinburgh.
Yeah,
Edinburgh.
City, at least.
Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Edinburgh. It's beautiful. It's been sunny all summer, so it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's but they're doing nice, interesting things in robotics and medicine development. And actually, Peter was just in Hong Kong, wasn't he? So Peter Matson, he's British, will come back. Actually, when you talk about being foreign now, Stephen Tuch's Canadian. And Louise is kind of American.
Irish.
Irish American.
She's the second foreign VC.
Foreign takeover.
But Stephen Tuch is the first foreign VC
At.
in history.
Cambridge and Alice Trust here.
That is the first too.
She's the second in Oxford.
Stephen.
No, you said Louise was the second?
Louis the second.
Who's the first? And they call Andy a foreigner? Andrew
They
Hamilton?
did the research and let us know.
Oh, right.
Because Andrew Hamilton was
US
born
citizen.
here, and but he probably became a
He
U.S.
spent like 18 years in the US before Oxford. Didn't
I know. You know, I met him in Strasbourg when he was a postdoc.
Oh, really?
I've known Andy Hamilton, yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
First baby we ever held was his son. But he was born in Guildford and grew up. So, I told him, he said, Andy, how would they accept an American? He said, Alice, I'm American. And you can really pass for a British person if you ask me. So I think that...
Thank you anyway. Thank you.
Right.